In order to edit this template, the first thing you will need to do is to import your own logo. So to do this, you can double click inside this area over here in the project window. So simply double click, then navigate to your logo destination, and then double click again your logo to import the file. After you've done that, you will need to go inside your edit folder, and here you will have two compositions, so logo holder and tagline holder. Let's double click the logo holder composition to access it. Inside this composition, you will go ahead and delete the layer that's already there with the Envato logo. So just simply click the layer and press delete, and then just drag your new logo inside this composition. You can press S for scale and make any required adjustments. Just make sure that your logo is centered in the composition. Let's also check out the tagline holder composition, so double click this. Here is a simple text layer that you can edit by double clicking the layer. So after you double click, you can just type your new text like so. And it's very important that you do not delete this layer. As you can see, the layer contains some animation, which is this fade in here. So just double click the layer and edit the text like so. Let's go back in our render composition, and you can also access this through your render folder here in the project window. So double click to access. Let's take a look at the frame here and see what we have. And I will also set this to half resolution just so it loads a little faster. Alright, so far it's looking good. Keep in mind that whatever adjustments you make to the logo inside the logo holder, this will affect the end result as well. So for example, if I make this smaller, it will also be smaller in the final render. And I'm just gonna go ahead and undo that. So that's something to keep in mind. Let's take a look at some of the settings we have here. So there's a layer inside this render composition, and if you go up top to the effect controls and also press F3 if you don't have this window opened, so that's F3. Let's take a look at the colors first. So all of these settings, and we'll talk about the other settings after. So the first color will be our main laser, and change the color for that. You can see how this affects the render. You can also use different saturations of the color that you want to use. So for example, if you want to go with a blue and you just add some white to it, this will also greatly affect the end result. And for example, let's look at another frame here. Alright, so for example, if I want to change the laser trail to a blue, you can see that as I scroll through this blue hue, how the color changes, and you just have to find the right balance for your color to get as much detail as you can. Let's take a look at the laser sparks. You can also change the color for that as well. Alright, so try out different variations. For example, if I add a little white to this blue, this will bring up a little more detail, as you can see. So just important to keep that in mind. We have color for background particles as well, so you can change that. And also there's a highlight in the first two scenes here, so you can also change the color for that as well. You can see here in the corner, and this is just to add a little splash of color to offset some of these darker, more neutral tones. So these are the colors. Alright, and let's take a look at the other settings here. So laser angle, you can change this value if you want to have a different angle to which the laser starts. So for example, if I use a value of 350, you can see how this changes. And don't worry about the particles not being in place. That's just particular, not refreshing. You can go ahead and go to edit, and if you choose purge and all memory, this will fix the problem. And you can see now the particles are in the right place. So you can change the angle for the laser. You can kind of see in the preview how this affects it if you change the angle. Alright, so that's the laser angle, and the logo height will be the height at which the logo stands inside the final shot here. And if I press this settings layer, if I select it and press U on my keyboard, you can see that there are two keyframes here, and these are responsible for this upward movement of the logo that leaves room for the tagline. And you can go ahead and if you want the logo to move more upwards, for example, you can go ahead and increase the second or rather decrease the second value of the second keyframe, like so. You can see here in the preview. You can choose to not have the tagline at all if you simply deselect this tagline checkbox, like so. And if you do want to use your tagline, there is also an option for the tagline height, which does the same thing as the logo one, just controls the where the tagline is situated in the final shot. There's also an SFX sound effects track here, which you can disable or delete the layer if you don't want sound effects. After you've done editing and preparing your project, you can go ahead and go to composition, go to pre-render. Here inside custom AV you can choose your settings. For format you can go with H.264. Don't forget to select audio output if you also want to export the sound effects. Inside format options, just make sure that the bit rates are set to a high value to ensure that the quality is preserved as best as possible. Hit OK, then hit OK again. Select your file output name and destination, then hit render, and you're done. If you have any questions, feel free to message me and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching.